Howdy, folks. Welcome to the Deep Dive, your dedicated series for understanding heart health.
Great to be here.
Ever feel like your heart's doing a bit of a jig when life throws a curveball? Or maybe you thought, stress, it's all in my head.
That's a really common way to think about it.
Yeah, it is. But today, partner, we're going to lasso some pretty fascinating science. We want to show you just how much stress really affects your ticker. We're not just talking feelings here. We're diving into the latest research to try and explain it plain as day.
And give you some practical strategies, things you can actually use.
Exactly. Easy to saddle up tips you can use right away to keep your heart riding strong.
Sounds good.
So our mission today is exploring these, intricate connections between our body's stress response, the role of sleep, which is often overlooked, right?
Definitely. Hugely important.
And just the overall health of your heart. We'll be looking at stress hormones, the kind of hidden dangers of not getting enough sleep, and discovering how complex but also how resilient your heart truly is.
It's a fascinating journey.
All right, let's unpack this then. When we talk about stress, like we said, it's not just a bad mood or, a tough day at the ranch.
Right.
We're actually talking about some serious biological players inside you. These things often called stress hormones.
That's the term, yeah.
But what exactly are these? And what kind of mischief, what kind of real measurable impact do they have on our cardiovascular health?
That's such a crucial distinction to make right off the bat. Because you're right, these aren't just feelings, they're actual endogenous chemicals produced by your body.
Okay.
The main trio we usually focus on when we talk about stress are norepinephrine,
Okay.
epinephrine, which a lot of people probably know as adrenaline,
Right, adrenaline.
and cortisol.
Mhm.
These three are really the key components of our body's natural stress response, the whole fight or flight thing.
Fight or flight, got it. Designed for quick escapes.
Exactly. They're designed for short-term survival. They kick in super fast when we sense danger, giving us that burst of energy, making us more alert, boosting physical capability to, either fight the threat or run away.
Makes sense for, escaping a charging bull or something.
Precisely. But what's really illuminating, and where the problems start, is understanding how the sustained presence of these hormones affects us long-term, when it's not just an acute emergency.
Right, when the bull keeps charging, metaphorically speaking.
Exactly. And there was a really comprehensive study, a systematic review and meta-analysis published by Tsai and colleagues in 2024.
Okay, recent stuff?
Very recent. They pulled together findings from 33 different studies. It was a huge effort involving data from, get this, over 43,000 participants.
Wow, that's a lot of data.
It is. And their findings give us some pretty stark insights into the actual quantitative risk.
Okay, so what did they find?
Well, the single biggest finding, which is powerful on its own, was that individuals who had collectively higher levels of all three of those hormones, norepinephrine, epinephrine, and cortisol,
The whole trio.
the whole trio together,
Yeah.
they faced a substantially higher risk of cardiovascular diseases, or CVDs.
How much higher?
We're talking a significant 63% increased risk compared to people with lower, more balanced levels.
63%. That's not trivial.
Not at all. It really highlights a profound association. And just to clarify, when we say cardiovascular diseases, CVDs, we mean a whole range of serious conditions.
Like heart attacks?
Yes, things like ischemic heart disease, where blood flow to the heart muscle is restricted, definitely stroke, heart failure, where the pump isn't working efficiently, peripheral arterial disease, affecting blood flow in the legs,
Okay.
and lots of other cardiac and vascular disorders, things that can really impact your quality of life and, frankly, how long you live.
So it really drives home the point.
Yep.
Chronic stress isn't just in your head, it's a physical threat.
It's a measurable physiological threat to your heart and blood vessels. Absolutely. The study also broke it down by individual hormone.
Oh, interesting. Did one stand out?
Well, they all showed significant links. Higher norepinephrine levels were tied to about a 68% increased cardiovascular risk.
Okay.
Higher epinephrine, or adrenaline, was linked to a 58% heightened risk.
So very high.
And higher cortisol showed about a 60% increased risk. So they're all playing a major role. These are substantial increases across the board.
Those numbers are certainly striking. So it sounds like if these hormones are always high, it's like that alarm system analogy you sometimes hear.
Yeah.
Good for a quick escape from a bear, maybe, but really bad if it's just ringing nonstop 204/7. That constant blaring has to wear down the system, right?
You've nailed the analogy perfectly. That constant state of alarm isn't just mentally tiring, it's physically damaging over the long haul.
So can you elaborate on the how? Like, what are the actual nuts and bolts, the physiological ways these hormones cause trouble for the heart and vessels?
Absolutely. From a physiological standpoint, these persistently elevated stress hormones contribute to CVD development in several ways. First, they cause what's called augmentation of vascular tone.
Vascular tone, meaning?
It means your blood vessels constrict more often and more forcefully. They get tighter, less flexible.
Okay, so harder for blood to flow.
Exactly. It increases resistance, which makes your heart have to work harder to pump blood through those narrower pathways, like trying to push water through a pinched hose.
Gotcha. What else?
Second, they can instigate cardiac and vascular remodeling.
Remodeling, like redecorating.
Sort of, but not in a good way. Think of your heart muscle thickening up, becoming stiffer, losing its natural elasticity, or the walls of your blood vessels changing structure, becoming less supple, more prone to damage or plaque buildup.
So structural changes that hurt function.
Precisely. These aren't just cosmetic. They really compromise the heart's efficiency and the integrity of the whole vascular system over time.
Okay, that makes sense. Anything else?
Yeah, there's more. These hormones also mess with how your kidneys handle salt and water, what we call renal sodium and water homeostasis.
Kidneys, too. How does that link back?
Well, when that salt and water balance gets thrown off, it can directly contribute to higher blood pressure, another layer of strain on the system.
Okay. It's all connected.
It really is. And crucially, these hormones constantly activate two major systems. The autonomic nervous system, or ANS, that's your body's automatic control panel for things like heart rate and digestion.
Right.
And the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal, or HPA axis. That's a complex feedback loop linking your brain to your adrenal glands where these hormones are made.
So it's like hitting the on switch repeatedly for the whole stress response network.
Exactly. It keeps that alarm system blaring. And this sustained activation leads to this cascade of downstream effects. Over time, these constant stressors can even accelerate the very early stages of atherosclerosis.
Which is the hardening of the arteries, right? Plaque buildup.
That's the one. Hardening and narrowing due to plaque. And that, in turn, significantly boosts the risk for really serious events like a heart attack, myocardial infarction, or even sudden cardiac death.
Wow. It really is a profound web of interconnected processes, a relentless cascade.
It is. It paints a vivid picture of how chronic, unmanaged stress can physically reshape our internal landscape.
And it's pretty impressive that researchers can actually quantify these hormone levels. How do they even measure something like long-term stress exposure in the body?
Yeah, measuring them is key. Researchers use a few different methods. They can analyze blood serum, urine samples, saliva, and even hair. Hair analysis is interesting because it can give a sort of retrospective look, reflecting hormone exposure over several months. It helps capture chronic levels, not just a snapshot in time.
Hair. Huh. Didn't know that.
Yep. But it's worth mentioning that the specific methods can vary quite a bit between studies. That can sometimes make it tricky to compare findings directly, introduces a bit of inconsistency. Scientists are always working on refining these techniques, though.
Right. Always improving. Now, you mentioned this study had a fascinating twist, something almost counterintuitive about the long-term effects.
Yes. This really adds another layer of complexity, makes us think beyond simple cause and effect.
Okay, what was it?
They did what's called a meta-regression analysis, looking at trends across all the studies over time. And they found that the impact of having higher levels of all three stress hormones on cardiovascular disease risk actually declined significantly as the follow-up period got longer.
Declined. So the risk went down over time, even with high hormones. That sounds odd.
It does sound odd at first glance. Specifically, the risk ratio decreased by about 0.09 per year of follow-up. What's fascinating here is, well, while the immediate impact of high stress hormones is clearly bad, strongly linked to increased CVD risk, this finding suggests there might be a time-dependent effect over many, many years.
So what could be going on there? Does the body just adapt?
That's the big question, and it offers a really powerful insight. Does the body have some incredible, complex way to adapt over the very long term? Maybe. Or, perhaps more likely, are other factors coming into play?
Like what?
Things like lifestyle changes people might make over time. Maybe they start exercising more, eating better. Or perhaps they get diagnosed with high blood pressure or another issue and start receiving medical treatment.
So interventions could be masking or mitigating the original risk from the hormones.
Exactly. The study authors speculated that as follow-up time increases, patients might be getting treatments or adopting healthier habits that gradually lessen the historical risk that those high hormone levels initially indicated.
Okay, that makes more sense.
It really underscores how dynamic heart health is. It suggests that even if you've gone through periods of intense stress, taking action, making positive changes can significantly alter your long-term health path.
That's actually a really hopeful message. It's not necessarily a fixed destiny.
Not at all. Your journey towards heart health is this ongoing process of adaptation, management, and the choices you make.
That's a profound thought. Our resilience, our capacity to influence things long term. Okay, let's pivot slightly. Let's rustle up another critical piece of this heart health puzzle, one that's often, I think, underestimated.
Okay.
Sleep. We all know a good night's rest feels great, right? Makes you feel human again.
Absolutely.
But it turns out it's way more than just feeling refreshed. It's like a mighty guardian for your heart, working hard behind the scenes while you're catching Z's.
You've absolutely hit on a vital point there. Sleep isn't just downtime. It's an incredibly active, crucial process for your whole body. And for the heart, it really is a double-edged sword.
Double-edged. How so?
Well, it's protective when you get enough, but if neglected, it becomes a major source of risk. We can look at insights from places like the Mayo Clinic, the American Heart Association. They're clear. Adults really need to aim for 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep each night.
7 to 9. Okay.
Yeah.
What happens if you don't get that?
Critically consistently getting less than 6 hours. That's really detrimental. Not just for general well-being, but it's a known direct contributor to high blood pressure hypertension. And that applies to both kids and adults.
Less than 6 hours consistently links to high blood pressure. Wow.
Yeah, and the quantitative link is pretty stark. Generally, the less you sleep, the higher your blood pressure tends to climb. And people who consistently average 6 hours or less, they seem particularly vulnerable to steeper, more dangerous increases.
Why is that? What's happening during sleep that's so protective?
Think about it. Sleep is when your body actively works to regulate itself, repair tissues, restore balance. It helps control a whole host of hormones essential for both stress management, like we just talked about, and metabolism.
Okay.
When you chronically shortchange yourself on sleep, day after day, you disrupt these delicate hormonal balances. You get these persistent swings, which can lead directly to chronically elevated blood pressure.
It's not just blood pressure, though, is it?
No, definitely not. Chronic sleep deprivation also significantly fuels other major heart disease risk factors. Things like increased insulin resistance, which can lead to type 2 diabetes, and weight gain, often contributing to obesity. So it's not just about feeling tired after one bad night. It's this consistent pattern that chips away at your heart health over time.
That's a powerful reminder.
Yeah.
Sleep isn't a luxury you cut corners on. It's fundamental, like eating well or moving your body.
Exactly. It's a necessity.
And you mentioned that double-edged sword, so what about the other side? Can you get too much sleep? Is that a thing?
That's an excellent clarifying question, and yeah, that's where the double-edged part really applies. While not getting enough sleep is definitely worse, has more immediate negative effects. Consistently sleeping more than, say, 8 or 9 hours can also be associated with some health challenges.
Like what?
Research suggests that very long sleep durations, if there's no underlying medical reason for needing it, sometimes correlate with issues like elevated blood sugar levels and weight gain.
Which are also risk factors for heart disease.
Precisely. So it really highlights finding that sweet spot, that 7 to 9 hour range.
Right.
Aiming for both good quality and the right duration. It's about balance.
Balance in all things, even rest. Okay, now let's talk about something you called a sneaky culprit earlier. Something related to sleep that often goes undiagnosed.
Ah, yes. Obstructive sleep apnea, or OSA. This is a really common but often missed condition, and it's treatable.
Okay, what is OSA?
It's where your breathing repeatedly stops and starts while you're asleep. These pauses, called apneic events, fragment your sleep. You might be in bed for 8 hours, but you're getting very light, non-restorative sleep because you keep briefly waking up or nearly waking up to breathe.
And how would someone know if they have this?
Common signs are very loud snoring, often punctuated by gasps or silences.
Okay.
And waking up feeling utterly exhausted, even after what seems like a full night in bed. Daytime sleepiness is a big one.
And this impacts the heart.
Significantly. OSA isn't just an annoyance, it's a major independent risk factor for high blood pressure and a whole host of other serious heart conditions.
Independent risk factor. That's important.
Very. So if you're constantly tired or your partner tells you your snoring sounds like a freight train stopping and starting, it's definitely something to discuss with your doctor. Getting it diagnosed and treated can be profoundly impactful.
That's a critical point for everyone listening. Sleep is active repair time, and OSA disrupts that foundation.
Precisely. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, especially arrhythmias, the link between sleep apnea and atrial fibrillation AF is incredibly strong.
AF, that's the irregular heartbeat thing.
Exactly. Atrial fibrillation is the most common sustained arrhythmia in adults. The heart's upper chambers beat irregularly, often very fast. It can lead to serious issues like stroke and heart failure.
Okay, so sleep apnea links to AF.
Very strongly. A study by Tavares and colleagues really highlighted this high association between sleep apnea, both obstructive and the less common central type, and AF.
How common are these conditions?
Alarmingly common in the U.S. AF affects somewhere between 2.7 and 6.1 million Americans.
Yeah.
And OSA, estimates range from 15 to 20 million adults.
Wow. So there's huge overlap.
Massive overlap, which brings us to a crucial point about treatment.
Okay.
Sleep apnea actually significantly reduces the efficacy of many standard AF therapies.
Reduces how well treatments work. Like what kind of treatments?
Like catheter ablation, for instance. That's a common procedure where they scar tiny areas in the heart to block faulty electrical signals and correct the irregular rhythm. It can be very effective.
But not if you have untreated sleep apnea.
It's much less likely to be effective long term. One study found OSA was an independent predictor of ablation failure. And get this. Patients who had OSA but were not treated for it may be using a CPAP machine.
Right, CPAP. Continuous positive airway pressure.
Yes. Those untreated patients were found to be 8 times more likely to have the ablation procedure fail compared to people without OSA or those whose OSA was being effectively treated.
8 times more likely to fail. That's huge.
It's enormous. It tells us that just treating the AF symptom without addressing the underlying sleep apnea is often like trying to patch a leaky roof during a hurricane. You're fighting an uphill battle.
So you have to treat the root cause, the sleep apnea, for the AF treatment to really stick.
Exactly. It demands a more holistic approach to heart health.
That's a really powerful insight. Okay, so what's actually happening physiologically during these apnea events? Why does it make the heart so prone to AF and mess up treatments?
It's quite complex, but a key player is the cardiac autonomic nervous system, the ANS, which we mentioned earlier.
The body's automatic control system for the heart.
Right. During those repeated stops in breathing the apneic events, the body goes through this cascade of negative changes. You get acidosis, which is increased blood acidity.
Okay.
Hypoxia, a significant drop in blood oxygen levels.
That sounds bad.
It is. Hypercarbia, which is too much carbon dioxide in the blood. And increased pressure in the lungs, pulmonary pressure.
All at once, repeatedly through the night.
Yes. And all of these are incredibly powerful stimuli that dramatically ramp up the activity of the cardiac ANS. It's like the heart's control system goes into overdrive, becomes hyperactive, chaotic.
And that leads to AF.
It does. These changes cause a whole host of downstream effects problems with blood flow dynamics, what we call hemodynamics, and issues with the heart's electrical activity, electrophysiology.
How so?
Well, for instance, the low oxygen and increased acidity really stress the heart cells, making them more irritable, more prone to firing off abnormal electrical signals. This whole environment culminates in a significantly increased susceptibility to AF starting or continuing.
Like creating the perfect storm for an irregular heartbeat.
That's a great way to put it. And to get slightly more technical, the ANS has parts, both inside the heart, these nerve clusters called ganglionated plexi, or GP, like the heart's mini brain.
Okay.
And parts outside, like the vagal nerve sending signals in. Apnea basically hijacks and overstimulates both systems.
Oh.
Interestingly, research has shown that specific sensory neurons within those GPs on the heart play a really big role in apnea-induced AF. They even found that if they could selectively quiet those specific nerves, denervate them, they could actually abolish the abnormal electrical responses and make it harder to trigger AF during apnea in experimental models.
That's incredibly specific. Shows how detailed our understanding is getting.
It really does. It highlights the potential for very targeted interventions down the line based on understanding these intricate mechanisms.
So for our listeners then, what's the really clear, actionable takeaway from all this about sleep, apnea, and the heart?
The bottom line, the most actionable insight is this. If you or someone you sleep near consistently snores very loudly, If there are noticeable pauses in breathing during sleep, and if you wake up feeling unrefreshed and tired day after day, even after plenty of time in bed,
Yeah.
it is absolutely essential to talk to your doctor or a healthcare professional about getting evaluated for sleep apnea.
Don't just ignore it.
Don't ignore it. Getting it diagnosed and treated, often with something like CPAP therapy, can be a monumental game changer for your heart. It doesn't just reduce the chances of developing AF, it dramatically improves the success rates of AF treatments like ablation if you need them.
It's a fundamental step for long-term heart health.
A truly fundamental intervention. It can profoundly impact your cardiovascular well-being.
Okay. Wow. We've spent a good chunk of time looking at the damage, the real risks from chronic stress and poor sleep. It's clear these aren't just minor annoyances, they're powerful forces.
They really are.
But fear not. We're not just here to point out the rattlesnakes in the path. We want to give you the boots and spurs to handle them.
I like that.
So let's shift gears now. Let's talk about wrangling that wild west of stress. What can we actively do for a calmer, healthier heart? Taking control.
That's exactly the right mindset. Proactive control. Because stress, as we've established, isn't just a feeling, it has these deep, measurable physiological effects.
Right.
The American Heart Association and research like that from Fioranelli and colleagues really emphasize that stress is incredibly subjective.
Meaning it affects everyone differently.
Exactly. What sends one person into a tailspin might barely register for someone else. And it can be triggered by happy events, too, getting married, a promotion, a new baby. Not just unhappy ones like illness or financial trouble.
So it's more about our reaction than the event itself.
Largely, yes. It's about how our body and mind process the event. And the broad impact often shows up first in our behaviors.
Hope so.
Well, when we're under chronic stress, we tend to fall into less healthy habits, don't we? Smoking more, reaching for comfort food, skipping workouts, eating poorly, gaining weight.
Yeah, maybe not taking medications regularly either.
That's a huge one. Failing to stick to prescribed medication schedules. All these behaviors directly amplify the risk factors for heart disease and stroke. It becomes a vicious cycle.
Okay. And physiologically, beyond the behaviors.
On that acute level, you hit a stressful situation, bang, adrenaline and cortisol surge. Breathing speeds up, heart rate jumps, blood pressure spikes. That's the fight or flight we talked about. Essential for survival in the short term.
But the danger is when it stays that way.
Precisely. When that state of high alert persists for days, weeks, months, that's chronic stress. And that leads to sustained high blood pressure, ongoing inflammation, constant strain on the heart. It fundamentally changes your body's internal environment and significantly hikes that long-term risk for heart attack and stroke.
It's that crucial difference between acute, protective stress and chronic, damaging stress.
Absolutely. And this connection between our mental state and physical heart health goes even deeper.
How?
There's a direct link between negative mental health conditions and heart problems. Things like chronic burnout, clinical depression, pervasive anxiety, unresolved anger, even a consistently pessimistic outlook or general dissatisfaction with life. These are all associated with a range of harmful bodily responses. Irregular heart rate and rhythm, more digestive issues, higher blood pressure, widespread systemic inflammation, even reduced blood flow to the heart muscle itself.
Reduced blood flow to the heart, just from feeling bad.
It sounds dramatic, but the connections are there. In fact, research, including Fioranelli's work, now considers chronic depression an independent primary risk factor for poor outcomes after someone's already had a heart attack.
Independent, meaning even separate from other factors.
Yes. It means the depression itself, not just the things often associated with it, actively worsens the prognosis. It's not just a consequence of heart disease. It actively contributes to worse outcomes.
So tending to your mental well-being isn't just nice, it's direct heart care.
It's a direct investment in your physical heart, absolutely. And if we connect this back to inflammation...
Right, you mentioned stress fuels inflammation.
Yes, and this is a key modern understanding. Fioranelli's research reinforces this. Atherosclerosis, the artery hardening, isn't just about cholesterol buildup, a simple lipid storage problem. It's now understood as a complex inflammatory disease.
Inflammation is central.
It's central. Chronic stress pours fuel on that inflammatory fire through various sophisticated mechanisms. It messes with your immune system, ramps up the production of inflammatory cytokines.
Cytokines, those are the chemical messengers.
Exactly, the messengers that signal and drive inflammation throughout the body, including inside your artery walls.
Which is why doctors sometimes measure inflammation markers.
Precisely. That's why biomarkers like high-sensitivity C-reactive protein, hsCRP, are now seen as significant predictors of cardiovascular risk.
Okay.
And what's really insightful is that high hsCRP predicts risk even independently of your cholesterol levels.
So you could have good cholesterol but still have dangerous inflammation.
Exactly. It tells us there's an underlying inflammatory process damaging your arteries, making it a crucial, separate thing to watch. It's another powerful insight into your overall risk.
It really shows the heart isn't just a pump. It's interacting with everything.
Absolutely. Heart tissue itself even contains resident immune cells, macrophages, mast cells, T and B lymphocytes. They respond to injury and inflammation. For instance, mast cells gather in those atherosclerotic plaques and seem to play a role in making plaques unstable or causing coronary artery spasms. Stress can literally fuel those internal fires.
That's incredibly insightful. It really hammers home that managing stress isn't just about feeling calmer. It's about protecting your heart from this deep physiological threat from the inside out, keeping the system cool.
Exactly. Keeping it cool and calm. And one of the most fascinating and frankly empowering areas linking mind, body, and heart involves the vagus nerve.
The vagus nerve. Okay, I've heard of that. What's its role here?
Think of it as the body's main calming command line. It's a huge part of the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest side of things, the opposite of fight or flight.
The brakes.
Basically, yes, essentially, yes. And we can see its influence really clearly when we look at something called heart rate variability, or HRV.
HRV. Heard of that too. Fitness trackers measure it now. What is it, simply?
Simply put, HRV is the natural, healthy fluctuation in the time between your heartbeats. A healthy heart isn't like a metronome ticking perfectly evenly.
No.
No. That beat-to-beat variability, that slight unevenness, is actually a sign of a healthy, adaptable, resilient heart and nervous system. It shows your autonomic nervous system is responding dynamically to everything happening inside and outside you.
So variability is good, regularity is bad.
In this context, yes. A monotonously regular heart rate, what we call low HRV, is actually a sign that the autonomic nervous system isn't well regulated. It often means the parasympathetic calming system is underactive and the sympathetic fight-or-flight system is overactive.
Like the system is stuck in on or alarm mode.
Exactly like that, stuck in a perpetual alarm reaction, unable to fully relax and recover. And HRV gives us a non-invasive, objective window into this. We can measure it and get a sense of psychological stress levels and overall autonomic health.
How does stress affect HRV?
Typically, stress leads to measurable changes, usually a decrease in the high-frequency band of HRV, which reflects that parasympathetic calming activity, and an increase in the low-frequency band, which reflects the sympathetic stress activity. That imbalance is a clear physiological sign your body's under duress.
Even if you don't consciously feel super stressed out at that moment.
Right. It can be an underlying physiological state. And what's also fascinating is the brain connection.
Brain and HRV.
Yeah, neuroimaging studies are starting to map links between HRV and specific brain regions, especially an area called the ventromedial prefrontal cortex, the VMPFC.
What does that part of the brain do?
It's crucial for appraising situations, deciding if something is actually stressful or threatening, and then regulating our emotional and physiological response. So healthy HRV isn't just about the heart. It reflects a well-regulated brain-heart connection that can effectively assess and calm the whole system.
This is truly profound.
Yeah.
It feels like we have this amazing built-in system for self-regulation. Like we can influence our own internal state, calm our own wild heart, so to speak.
That's a great way to think about it. And you asked about the vagus nerve suppressing inflammation earlier.
Yes.
Yeah, how does that work?
This is where it gets incredibly impactful for heart health. There's this concept called the inflammatory reflex of the vagus nerve.
Okay.
Because the vagus nerve is such a key parasympathetic nerve, it has this remarkable ability to actually suppress the synthesis of cytokines.
The inflammatory messengers we talked about, the very same. So by activating the vagus nerve, you can essentially put the brakes on that inflammatory cascade. You can counteract the sympathetic overdrive that fuels inflammation. Studies have even shown that directly stimulating the vagus nerve can significantly reduce systemic inflammatory responses throughout the body.
Wow. That's a direct physical link between calming the nervous system and reducing inflammation.
A powerful, direct link, which raises that important question and offers a potent insight for everyone listening. Could actively engaging and stimulating our vagus nerve through conscious techniques be a key practical strategy?
To calm both our minds and reduce that artery inflammation.
Exactly. To give our hearts that much-needed break from the constant assault of chronic stress and inflammation. And the answer seems to be increasingly a resounding yes. We can leverage our own internal systems to promote healing and resilience.
That's incredibly empowering. It really feels like we have practical levers we can pull. So, building on all this, what are some of the most effective everyday things we can actually do to nurture our vagus nerve, manage stress, and keep our hearts healthy?
Okay, let's get practical. Drawing from the AHA, all this research we've touched on, the first, maybe most fundamental thing is exercise regularly.
Get moving. Dust off those boots.
Exactly. Consistent movement. The general guideline is at least 150 minutes a week of moderate intensity activity, or 75 minutes of vigorous activity.
Why is exercise so key for stress?
It's a powerful antidote, clinically proven to relieve stress, tension, anxiety, depression. It's not just about calories. It helps your body process those stress hormones more effectively, lowers blood pressure, improves cholesterol, enhances blood flow.
So find something you like and stick with it.
Yes, a brisk walk, especially in nature, dancing, cycling, yoga, whatever you enjoy makes it sustainable. It's an active way to engage your body's natural calming systems.
Okay, number one, move your body. What else? It's not just physical.
Yeah, absolutely not. Our social connections are huge. So, number two, make time for friends and family.
Don't isolate yourself.
Right. Maintain those connections, nurture relationships, talk with people you trust. Loneliness and social isolation are increasingly recognized as serious risk factors for heart disease, right up there with smoking or high cholesterol.
Really?
Really, sharing experiences, getting support, just enjoying company, it acts as a powerful buffer against stress.
Okay, social connection. Makes sense. And number three, we've hit this hard, but it's crucial.
Get enough quality sleep. Cannot be overstated. Aim for that 7 to 9 hour sweet spot each night. Quality sleep is that nightly reset button.
Controls stress hormones, lowers blood pressure while you sleep.
Allows the whole cardiovascular system to recover. It's not optional. It's fundamental heart defense, non-negotiable.
Got it. Sleep is sacred. What about our mindset?
Hugely important. Fourth tip. Maintain a positive attitude. Actively try to cultivate optimism. Practice gratitude. Find a sense of purpose.
Does that really make a physical difference?
Research consistently shows it does. People with more positive mental health tend to have lower blood pressure, better blood sugar control, less systemic inflammation, all direct wins for the heart.
How do you cultivate that? Just decide to be positive.
It takes practice. One simple but powerful tool is keeping a gratitude journal. Just regularly writing down a few things you're thankful for. It consciously shifts your focus, retrains your brain, and actively reduces the stress response over time.
Gratitude journal.
Okay.
And fifth, tapping into that vagus nerve directly.
Yes. Practice relaxation techniques. These aren't just nice to have, they're direct interventions. Things like regular meditation, listening to calming music, or especially deep diaphragmatic breathing exercises.
Belly breathing.
Exactly. When you breathe slowly, deeply from your diaphragm, you are literally sending calming signals up through your vagus nerve to your central nervous system.
And that does what again?
Lowers your heart rate, reduces blood pressure, diminishes that overall stress response. It's an immediate, accessible tool you always have with you to bring calm internally.
Okay, relaxation techniques. What else?
Keep your mind engaged positively. Sixth, find a stimulating hobby.
Like whittling or knitting.
Could be cooking, gardening, learning an instrument, woodworking. Something you genuinely enjoy that keeps your mind focused in a positive way. It's a healthy distraction from worries, prevents dwelling on negatives, fosters joy.
Good one. And sometimes it's about what not to do, right?
Definitely. Seventh tip, limit alcohol consumption. We know too much alcohol is clearly bad for the heart.
Raises blood pressure.
Raises blood pressure, increases risk for cardiomyopathy, that's weakening of the heart muscle, contributes to stroke risk, raises triglycerides.
So moderation is key if you drink at all.
Absolutely. The standard advice is no more than 1 drink per day for women, 2 for men.
Okay, those are great practical tips.
And just to add a personal touch, there's a wonderful quote from Dina Pinelli, a heart attack survivor, about mindfulness. She said, Practicing mindfulness meditation and yoga helped to steady my mind and allow me to attune to the sensation in my body, keeping me focused on just this breath, just this moment. When the world around me is swirling and things feel out of control, I'm reminded to pause, connect to my heart, and allow my breath to flow gently, releasing anxiety and worry and calling in strength and peace.
Wow. That beautifully captures the power of just pausing and breathing.
It really does, the personal impact of these practices.
Well, folks, we have ridden a long trail today, haven't we? From those high peaks of stress hormones down to the quiet valleys of restful sleep.
It's been quite the journey.
And we've discovered just how deeply all this shapes our heart health. We learned that those stress hormones, norepinephrine, epinephrine, cortisol, when they're constantly high, can seriously increase your risk for heart disease.
Significant.
And that getting enough quality sleep, it's not just nice, it's an absolutely critical defense for your heart. But the best news, the most empowering insight from today, I think, is that you do have the power. You have the knowledge now to take charge, to steer your own course toward a healthier heart.
Absolutely. And if we boil it all down, connect all these threads, the simplest, most effective takeaways for you listening are, first, be proactive. Manage your stress. Use regular physical activity. Use those relaxation techniques that engage your vagus nerve. Make them habits.
Right.
Second, prioritize sleep. Make that 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep a non-negotiable part of your life. Guard it. And third, listen to your body and your loved ones. If those signs of sleep apnea are there loud snoring, pauses in breathing, constant tiredness, please talk to a healthcare professional about it.
Don't wait.
Don't wait. These aren't just small tweaks. They're profound, science-backed investments in your heart's long-term health. They help reduce your risk of CVD, including serious arrhythmias like AF, and importantly, they can make any medical treatments you might need much more effective.
So as you mosey on from here, think of your heart, maybe not just as a pump, but maybe like a wise old cowboy. It needs good care, quiet nights, a calm disposition to thrive.
Like that image.
Let's make sure we're giving it the best ride possible. Saddle up for a healthier life, one mindful breath, one good night's sleep, one positive choice at a time.
Well said.
We really hope this deep dive has given you some valuable tools and understanding to keep your heart strong and true. Join us next time for another journey into well-being right here on The Deep Dive. Until then, stay healthy, folks, and keep on learning.